What's up, everyone? Welcome into DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined today by Matthew Moreno and special guest Anthony Witrado, senior MLB contributor for Forbes, also a guy who follows a lot of what's going on with the Dodgers. Anthony, great to have you today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Long-time fan and first-time contributor, so very happy to be a part of the show.
I love it. I love it. Well, we got something fun to talk about today. Fun may be the wrong word. We have something interesting to talk about today, and that's Gavin Lux. Guys, this is somebody that the Dodgers front office, Dave Roberts, have been confident about, at least forward-facing, confident about his ability to play shortstop. Well, that all changed earlier this week when Dave Roberts was directly asked after a couple miscues from Lux about his status, and he said, quote, "I don't know if Gavin Lux will be the shortstop when the Dodgers open the season in Korea." Anthony, I'll start with you first. Are you surprised that Dave Roberts did as abrupt kind of a turn here on his confidence about Gavin Lux?
For a couple of reasons. Dave Roberts does not kind of call his guys out in this way. And this is a very, by sports standards, right? This is really mild in terms of calling somebody out. But Dave doesn't even do that. And that's sort of what he's known for, right? It's his MO. That's one of his strengths, is that he's a player's manager, very good communicator. Might not always agree with the strategy behind certain things, but the players like him. They love playing for him, that kind of thing, right? So this stuff rarely happens with him. And it was just the second reason why this is kind of crazy, is because 24 hours ago, we were having the discussion about Dave Roberts was not worried about this, at least publicly, right? And because he was asked about it after Gavin Lux had some miscues in that game, and they asked him about, hey, is defense an issue right now with Gavin? And he said, absolutely not. He just needs to get some reps. He'll be okay. The one thing that did sort of stand out in those quotes, though, was that Dave was talking about Gavin really trying to get better and get a little more reps with things like really fundamental fielding parts of this, getting across the ball, checking his steps, those kinds of things. And it was like, to me, I was thinking, well, he's had plenty of time to do that. I mean, you can do that on the backfields. The throwing and all of that stuff is a different thing. But, when Dave said that, it really made me think like, okay, this something about this doesn't really line up. But I did not think like, okay, in 24 hours, we'd be talking about Gavin Lux might not be the starter in Korea.
Yeah, Matt, that's what's interesting to me. It's not that we're surprised that there might be skepticism, because we're all watching this, right? I'll put up a video that Chad Moriyama posted. This is Gavin Lux, as well as a couple from Max Muncy. Like, nobody's surprised as we're watching this that internally the Dodgers are concerned about Gavin Lux. Are you as surprised as Anthony is that publicly the Dodgers have made this clear that they're this concerned?
Yeah, absolutely. And Anthony hit the nail on the head with pointing out Dave Roberts' history and how he goes about handling the media whenever discussing his players. And, we've brought that up on several of our shows, last season, the year before that. Like, he'll stand by his players almost to a fault sometimes publicly. And fans are, when we do our live shows, the comments are going crazy. And it's just like, look, and I've tried to assure them, like, Dave Roberts will tell the media and the fans one thing, and behind closed doors, they probably are having different conversations that he just chooses to keep private. And that's how he and the front office sort of operate. So honestly, to me, and hopefully I'm not jumping too far ahead here in terms of what we have planned for this show, but Dave opening the door and saying that he doesn't know if Gavin Lux is going to be starting at shortstop on opening day basically tells me that the Dodgers are preparing for Gavin Lux to not be their starting shortstop unless he's able to correct some of these issues that we're seeing in this clip.
So for you, Matt, like, what's the backup plan? I mean, I know part of the quote was that Miguel Rojas and Kike Hernandez are expected to get some more opportunities at shortstop. You've got two options. Kike Hernandez, for what it's worth, was like the worst graded defensive shortstop in Major League Baseball last year when he was in Boston. Then you've got Miguel Rojas, who may have been one of the worst graded offensive players in all of Major League Baseball. Those two guys are on the roster. You've got trade names like Willy Adames that people are going to bring up. So from your perspective, Matt, if it's not going to be Gavin Lux, what's the plan for the Dodgers?
My guess is that it's probably Miguel Rojas again. Maybe Kike becomes more of a factor late in the season. But I think Rojas certainly gets the first opportunity. And to your point, about Kike's defense last year, he has explained is of the belief, and I think there's some validity to it, but we do need to see it play out, that because of the hernia issues he dealt with that he was playing with for multiple seasons, it prevented him from reaching his full potential, both defensively and frankly at the plate, he believes. And we've seen Kike, his first stint with the Dodgers, he was very good defensively. So to see him struggle and regress, like, I am inclined to believe that the offseason surgery he had, assuming he is indeed healthy, that he should improve defensively.
Yeah, Anthony, the quote from Roberts was, quote, "The number one goal for us is to win baseball games. So whatever we have to do, whatever we do that is going to be in the best interest of winning." Do you agree? Is Miguel Rojas at shortstop the best path towards winning for the Dodgers right now?
If you're going to bench Gavin Lux, I think yes. I think that is the answer, with the understanding that this might be the best offensive lineup in all of baseball. Yeah. And so you take one of the guys who they thought was going to be a key contributor to that offense and you put him on the bench, you place him with a defensive specialist and you go, we can pick up the slack, around him. And that's going to be the thought process in terms of why that he would be the first shot at the replacement. But look, it's a matter of Gavin's clearly pressing. I mean, the throwing issues, that is clear cut. He's feeling heat. He's feeling pressure. The throws are not free. It looks like he's aiming the baseball. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty obvious even to casual observers that that's kind of what's going on. He's probably a little bit in his own head. You hope it doesn't develop beyond that because you don't want to utter the Y word in the clubhouse. But I mean, we're not there yet. He's not Chuck Knobloch, but he's going to have to get some kind of, just let it fly freely, and in game situations. And I think, maybe then that kind of solves everything. But my point was going to be that until that happens, the guy's offense has been fine.
Yeah.
Fine to above average to potentially really, really good. And if he's going to produce offensively at a certain level, they're probably just going to live with the defense and say, you know what, you can get to balls. We'll just hope you get it in the vicinity of Freddie sometimes.
Yeah. So just to press a little bit, if you were in charge, am I hearing that you would, for now, stick with Gavin Lux and ride this out and say, I know the defense is really, really bad, but our options are basically really, really bad defense with a guy who's going to be above average offensively and maybe more potential for improvement on the defensive side with Gavin Lux versus Miguel Rojas, elite defense and a long track record of really, really bad offense. So for you, between those two choices today, are you choosing Gavin Lux?
Today, I'm choosing Gavin Lux. Yeah. That could change a dozen games into the season. Yeah. And I don't think it changes. I don't think it's a hard and fast thing, right? The Dodgers are, the platoon king organization, right? So it may be a situation like that where, look, we know we have Glass now on the bump, or we know that Yoshi's going to be going tomorrow. So that's the day that we're going to expect some ground balls and we're going to put Rojas out there. But yeah, I think that it's not a complete benching. And I think if you do something like that, the Dodgers really risk losing Gavin long-term. And I think for a guy his age, with his experience, with his raw athletic ability and his offensive talent, that's just too much to lose this early. And when you think about a lot of these things, he played second base, when he was up full time and playing on a regular basis. And then he was hurt. And so this is really the full time that he's been at his preferred position on a full-time regular basis in the big leagues. Let the guy play this out for a little bit. He's got to play himself out of the lineup, and I think that the Dodgers have been pretty good about letting guys, to upset the fan base at times. But, they've been loyal to a fault to certain guys. And I think that with Gavin, that would probably be the safest road, because again, if the guy's confidence is already a little shaky, and then you say, you know what, we're going to start this guy who's going to hit 214 all season ahead of you, you might not get him back.
Yeah, maybe hit 214. But I think I'm with you from the perspective of you can always go to Miguel Rojas at shortstop. Right. I'm not sure you can take this starting spot away from Gavin Lux and then a month into the season decide you're going to go back to him. Like, I just don't know how that's going to play out. And I've long been the guy that is pro Gavin Lux. Hey, be patient, believe. And I'll admit, my confidence, maybe not as shaken as his, it seems like, but my confidence in him is shaken. Not because I'm worried about the offense, but just because it seems like the mental side of things is where maybe the biggest weakness is. And he just hasn't been able to get an extended run where he's comfortable, where he's confident to be able to sort of give himself positive self-talk in these tough moments, because he hasn't had enough time, Anthony, in my estimation, to really prove to himself that he can do this no matter how much confidence he may project outside.
Yeah, he hasn't built that equity within himself even. You know, he can be the most confident player in the world, but he knows what the back of the baseball card says, right? You know, he's got a little D'Angelo Russell in him in terms of how the situation is sort of playing out, where, you know, we're going to put another guy on the bench. We're going to leave you in the lineup because we are afraid it might break you mentally a little bit. Then if we finally have to do it, and maybe that happens with Gavin, let's hope you come back and you're, you know, one of the best players on the team after that, you know, and it's sort of kind of smells similar to what the Lakers have had to do with D'Angelo Russell. But yeah, I think that you're right. He is still not so, he doesn't have enough under his belt yet to say, yeah, I can walk out there and do this. Not a problem. He's probably still questioning, does he belong here at a full-time, you know, on a full-time basis himself? And so, you know, I think they do have to handle him carefully, because again, this is a former #1 prospect in all of baseball, a guy who they deemed untouchable in trade talks with some big time players who probably could have helped them in the past. And so they have to do everything they can in their power to make this work. And even if that means riding him out this season a little longer than maybe some of the fans might want.
Matt, there's two alternatives here to Gavin Lux and Miguel Rojas. Number one, and this is, I just have to say it because this is my music here. Matt, is there any chance we get Mookie Betts moved to shortstop full time like I've been clamoring for 12 months?
I don't see it, and that's what makes the situation with Gavin Lux so complex and interesting. Is, to Anthony's point, like, I fully agree. Like, you can't necessarily bench him right now, because I think what it'll do to him, to his psyche mentally, he may not necessarily bounce back from.
Yeah.
But if, Jeff, to your question, if you move Mookie Betts to shortstop, Gavin Lux has openly said playing second base was a struggle for him, and he didn't like it. He didn't care for it. That's one reason why he was so excited for this season to be back at shortstop. It's his natural position. I think the way he described it is he feels more athletic on that side of second base. So, you know, maybe Mookie is an answer in some regard, but then what happens to Gavin Lux? Because he's not necessarily your answer then at second base. And so then what? Like, I mean, do you trade him? But at that point, teams are going to know you're needing to basically get rid of him. You're going to sell, you know, short on the dollar type thing. So it's a difficult position for the Dodgers to be in. As much as, you know, I think Mookie could handle shortstop, the ripple effect, I don't know what it would mean, if it would make enough sense for the Dodgers and other means.
Okay, the more realistic option here is door A, Gavin Lux. Door B, Miguel Rojas. Door C, go out and trade for somebody. Willy Adames is the name that's out there. It seems like the Brewers, having moved off a couple pieces, may be interested in Adames if the price is right. Whether or not the Dodgers could meet that price remains to be seen. Matt, I'll come back to you first, and then Anthony can answer after you. Would you be interested in, assuming the cost is you're paying 100 to 125 cents on the dollar for a guy like Adames, who is essentially Miguel Rojas defensively, but with 25 to 30 home run power, even if the batting average and on base percentage is not what you want it to be. For you, Matt, would you make that move if you're the Dodgers, or go with door A or door B?
I'm open to a Willy Adames trade, maybe, but just not now. Like, I need to run this out, whether it's Gavin Lux, whether it's Miguel Rojas, whether it's some sort of platoon, at least for a few months. So then that basically takes us to the trade deadline.
Yeah.
What concerns me too is I believe Adames is only under contract for this season, right? So then at that point, you know, if you're paying a ridiculous price for basically a 1-year rental, I don't know how much sense that makes, because then, fine, maybe it helps you this year, but then what about next season? Because Gavin Lux isn't your starting shortstop. They're probably not going to re-sign Willy Adames. So then what do you do?
Come on, Matt. Haven't you seen Trey Sweeney in spring training? The guy's the future. But Anthony, what about you? Willy Adames, are you interested in kind of overpaying, so to speak, for a guy like Willy Adames, or would you rather ride this out?
No, I'm riding this out. Again, they're not hurting for offense.
Yeah.
You know, and I understand that Muncy is a concern, given that he's on the same side of the field as Gavin Lux. And let's, you know, this is assuming that for the next 7 months, Gavin Lux is a really bad defensive shortstop.
Right.
We don't know that that's going to be the case yet. If he's an average shortstop with the numbers he can put up offensively, that's a big win for that team. Even though it's at a premier position. So no, I think we hold off on Adames, if we're the Dodger front office. And I think that if it gets so bad that you really do feel like you have to go get an alternative option at shortstop, I think you just look and you see what's out there, come July.
Yeah.
I think you have to give this Gavin Lux thing as long a leash as you possibly can, because he is a guy who was supposed to be a cornerstone of your future. And because he keeps bouncing the ball 6 feet in front of Freddie Freeman in spring training is not a reason right now to go and panic and trade for Willy Adames for probably a price that's going to be higher than you would like to pay.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Like, I think we've all talked on this show. The goal for the Dodgers is to win the World Series. It's not to beat the Padres on March 20th, and it's not to be in first place at the end of April. Those things we hope happen. But the goal for the Dodgers is to win the World Series and be ready to play come postseason time. And so if I'm the Dodgers, let's see what Gavin Lux can do offensively and defensively. Because look, if he improves a little bit defensively, but the offense is subpar, then that's not an answer. Again, I'm not holding out hope that Miguel Rojas ends up hitting 240, but who knows? Miracles could happen. Maybe he gets in whatever the hitting equivalent of the Mark Pryor lab and figures that out. And who knows? I would add with Willy Adames. Everybody who follows me on Twitter knows I'm probably his biggest skeptic. Like, he wasn't very good offensively last year. I know he hit 24 home runs. The weighted runs created plus has gone down 3 years in a row. The expected numbers weren't that great. So let's see what Willy Adames does, because if it's a slow start to the season for a guy like that, then maybe either the price comes down and he's more affordable, or you start to have bigger concerns about him and are grateful that you didn't give up the prospect. So I'm with you, Anthony. And I think we're all in agreement on this, is that ride this out and leave Lux in at shortstop would be my plan. Give him a month. Give him the runway to figure this out offensively or defensively, or to just make abundantly clear to everybody that this isn't the right move, in which case, in a lineup like the Dodgers have, Miguel Rojas batting ninth isn't going to kill you. It's going to help Max Muncy defensively at third. He's going to bat ninth. He's going to hit for no average and no power. And it's not going to be your favorite thing in the world, any of our favorite thing in the world. But I think at the end of the day, I could live with that, because the pitching's going to be that good. The bullpen's going to be that good. And of course, the hitting in front of him is going to be that good. So I'm curious to hear from fans. Let us know what you think in the comments below. I'm sure there's going to be a lively comment section below. Is it door A, let Gavin Lux have some runway? Door B, just go straight to Miguel Rojas, or I guess you could include Kike Hernandez in there because he seems to be in the mix. Or door C, are you going out and trading for a guy like Willy Adames now to get this solved? Let us know what you think in the comments below. That is Matthew Moreno. I'm Jeff Spiegel. That's Anthony Witrado. You're going to see him on our show a few times over the next few weeks, so we're excited to have him popping in from time to time. Again, you can check out his stuff, senior MLB contributor over at Forbes, Witrado, on social media as well. So Anthony, thanks for joining us, and we'll chat with you again soon.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of your day. And as always, go Dodgers.